What's up, guys? It's Ben with the Health Matrix, and I'm actually in Bergen, Norway, far from home right now. And in this video, I want to talk about some of the key differences that I noticed here while I'm in Europe, while I'm traveling around Norway, and some of the things that you can obviously do at home. If you're not familiar with the channel, again, this is the Health Matrix, where we're breaking out of the matrix, guys. We've heard it before, but I just want to let you guys know that, there's so many self-imposed limitations that are told to us and that are set on us and that people believe psychologically and internalize, meaning that, people were taught in the United States that we are supposed to be fat, slow, and stupid, essentially, and that it's normal to not be operating at 100%. It's normal to be overweight. It's normal to be achy joints and things like that. It's normal to be sick a lot. It's normal to not have a lot of energy, and as you get older, you deteriorate away, and people are getting all these different diseases. But I don't think it's supposed to be that way. And I've spent a good portion of my life helping people, especially with their fitness and nutrition. But also now it's time to help people with all aspects of health in order to break away from these illusions and become someone that, again, isn't always sick, has a lot of energy, and can really go out and attack in the world in a good way, and just live a healthy, vibrant life, which is the way we were supposed to as human beings. And so in Europe, I've been here twice, and I'm traveling around. Again, we're in Bergen. I was in Oslo, Norway. I'm out here early in the morning. Obviously, I chose this because I didn't want there to be a ton of people out. But right away, you notice it's a lot more laid back here. It's about 6 in the morning, so it's not that early. But people are not bustling around too much. It's a very clean city. There's not a lot of crime at all. And there's just a feeling that people are satisfied. There's basically no overweight people here, none at all, and their skin is fantastic. So again, in this video, I want to go over the key differences that I know, that I've looked at firsthand, talked to people, but also I knew from experience in the past about why is it that Europe is so much healthier than the US. We have essentially the same demographics. Most of America is European descent. Now, there might be a lot of immigration right now in the US from other continents and countries, but for the most part, America is a European country. A lot of people from Norway actually came to the US at the beginning of the 20th century. But I'm not going to talk about too much about that. Let's get right down to the business. So in Norway, the average lifespan is about 84 years. In the United States, it's about 76. And most European countries have this trend where they live a lot longer, they look a lot better, and their skin looks a lot better. They have healthier hair. We don't have all these acne problems like teenagers in Europe. I've noticed nobody's running around with acne like they are in the United States, where it seems to be like normalized that everyone goes through high school and you get all these skin problems, and they tell you it's just part of puberty. That's part of the matrix. Like, it's just supposed to, you're just getting older, so all of a sudden your skin's all messed up. Like, I'm sorry, guys, that's not how it works. So if you want to be able to tell honestly who's healthy and who's not, what you got to do is look at people's skin, because that's where I'll start here. And in this health matrix video, the skin is what tells everything, because the skin is the inside out of your body and the inside out of your digestive tract, meaning that whatever you put into it, which is of course food and water and things like that, whatever you put into yourself, it's going to end up going through your body, being absorbed, the nutrients, things like that. I think we could all understand that. Being absorbed into the bloodstream, assimilated, moved around to the various tissues, moved around to every organ in your body, and eventually it moves outwards to your skin. Not everything, obviously. I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but you can see how it's an inside-out cycle. What goes in comes out. Obviously, whatever your body does not absorb is going to go out, you know where. But you can see when you have digestive problems, it'll be reflected in the skin. This is very, very common. I knew it as a kid. I experienced it. It's what I was talking about a second ago with these kids having acne all the time, right? You're not supposed to be pocked up, and they tell you it's like oils. Now, it appears, right? And this is where part of the health matrix. This is part of the matrix. What you see on your body is not directly correlated, or should I say, it's not a direct representation of that thing in the environment. So like if you're eating, if your skin is very oily, such as having acne as a teenager, right? It'll feel oily. So I remember being told, well, it's like because you're eating too many oils, and this is part of this mantra in the United States where they crusade against fat. Now, there's plenty of bad fats out there, obviously. Seed oils, rancid oils, trans fats, like the deep fryer at McDonald's. This is not good oil. But there's also great oils like saturated fat. People can argue that till they're blue in the face, but that's my opinion. And I think I have proof for it. And butter, things like that, avocado oil, and especially everyone's favorite, olive oil. And that's another thing. In Europe, right? In Europe, olive oil is a huge staple in a lot of dishes. It's used to prepare, but it's used as a topical type of preparation as well, meaning on top of salads, on top of cheeses, another good source of fat. So these good oils are good for your skin. They're good for your digestive tract, and they're good for your skin. They're not going to make your skin oily. Now, you could argue that you can rub oils on your skin. Many people do this. I don't think that's a big surprise. Coconut oil, even olive oil. People do this, MCT oil, before they go out and suntan, for instance. A lot of women will lather themselves with coconut oil, and it protects your skin. It's like a natural sunscreen, although it's better than sunscreen, and I would not recommend using sunscreen. So these healthy oils in Europe are one of the biggest differences I've seen. Now, I'm in Norway, which is, I've been to Rome, I've been to Barcelona, and I've been to Norway. And it's different here, obviously. This is a lot different than Italy in a lot of regards. Italy, they give you olive oil with like every single meal. So instead of going to a restaurant like the US, if you go to any restaurant in the US, for the most part, any lower income, popular restaurant, you're gonna see ketchup and mustard, processed salt and sugar, maybe some coffee creamer, on the side, right? Maybe some hot sauce, but you're gonna see this high fructose corn syrup laden ketchup and mustard. Over here, and that means which has no healthy fats, tons of chemicals, and tons of refined sugar. And this refined sugar, I would argue, is one of the reasons why people are having such skin problems in the US in the first place. See, there's an example of where your skin is oily, but the problem is not oil. The problem is, in fact, too many sugars, too many toxins, and what your body's doing when you have typically oily, pussy, acne type of skin is it's actually detoxifying. So your body's getting rid of toxins through your skin, so that, as gross as it sounds, when these pimples pop, if you were to take a microscope and examine exactly what's inside of it, you'll find things that your body's trying to get rid of. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it. It could be anything. Little heavy metals, different types of oils, free radicals, all the stuff your body doesn't need. And this is true anytime you sweat in the first place. That's one reason why it's very good to sweat and to use saunas and things like that, and to exercise, and of course drink plenty of water, is because it helps your body get rid of toxins. And what happens when you get rid of these toxins? Well, your digestive tract doesn't have as much need to get rid of all these toxins, so your skin clears up. Makes sense, correct? And it looks a lot better. It looks like the people over here. And I would like to think it kind of looks like my skin. I generally don't have a lot of skin problems like I did when I was a kid. Blotchy skin, eczema, things like that. Eczema is another one, dermatitis. And I'm not trying to diagnose people, so watch out with the medical disclaimer there, but I think that we can all agree that's the issue. So those healthy oils, olive oil, you know, right off the bat, it's those little details here in Europe that make the difference. Their diet is a lot more restrictive in terms of what they're allowed to put in their food. They actually have, now I'm very against the government and most regulations, especially in the US, because they seem to be on a perpetual path to actually make people sick. Or at least they're so ignorant that they don't know how to actually stop it. So they allow in all these terrible chemicals and toxins into the food, and sometimes even hamper and sabotage good ones, good nutrients from being able to put in food, or they put different regulations and whatnot. So the regulations, they can't have high fructose corn syrup in a lot of products in Europe. I'm not sure about every country. I'm not even sure about Norway. I don't know every specific country, but they have limits on these chemicals. They have higher standards, even for fast food restaurants, even McDonald's. There's McDonald's and Burger King all over here. There's a lot of Western, crappy little fast food restaurants in Norway, in every single European country. And it's kind of unfortunate, but at the same time, if you go to one here versus the United States, it's night and day different. They're a lot cleaner. The food looks a lot better, and it is better. You know, a McDonald's cheeseburger here in Norway is not going to be a McDonald's cheeseburger in Los Angeles or New York in the United States. It's just that simple. They seem to also take a lot more pride in what they do with their food. And also, moving on from that, just in general, the amount of effort that goes into the process of making their meals, preparing their food, and actually eating. Now, the way that I would say we're supposed to eat is very consciously. Something I talk about in a lot of videos is the conscious eating, where you don't just mindlessly grab the first thing that's in front of you, but you actually take the time to prepare, not necessarily your whole day, but you take the time to actually create a meal that's somewhat organic. Now, when I say organic, not only do I mean organic as in the ingredients are organic if possible, that's always good, but organic as in it's still alive. It hasn't been microwaved. It hasn't been processed. The nutrients haven't been processed out. And there's so many different ways that our food is processed into nutrient devoid, calorie rich garbage, which is what creates the problem in the United States. So much of the problems are because of the food. People focus on exercise. I'll go on a slight tangent here. People focus on the exercise, which is great. It is obviously crucial in order to be healthy, to exercise and move your body the way you're supposed to. But what your body is made out of, how it looks, the composition, the energy, the focus, all of this is coming from the food. It's coming from what you put in your body and on your body, which is another whole topic, your skin products and all that. But going back to the process of actually making your food. So here, when you go to a restaurant, you'll immediately notice that your portion sizes are much, much closer to what they should be according to a good nutrition plan. Now, here's a shameless plug if you don't know what your nutrition plan is. I'm talking about your macronutrient profile, fats, proteins, carbohydrates. How many of these should you be consuming per day? How many should you be consuming per meal? How do you break it down? This is the meal plan. This is the meal plan that I help my clients to create so that they know what they're doing. And you can contact me in the link below if you want to work on a custom nutrition plan or fitness plan. But the food here has a lot smaller portions. There's not nearly as much carbohydrates, meaning like in the United States, when you typically go out to a restaurant, right? You order a typical meal. Let's say you go to a Mexican restaurant, something like that. They typically bring out a whole quarter of the plate is rice, and then you've got tortillas and some kind of, there's just tons and tons of carbs, massive amounts of carbs. One of the reasons they do this is because it fools people into believing they're getting a whole lot of stuff for their money, right? It fools people because they're like, wow, look how much of this food I'm getting for my bang for my buck, when in actuality a huge portion of it is just empty calories in the form of processed carbohydrates, bread, depending where you're going, rice, potatoes, which none of these are that bad by themselves, honestly. It's just you don't want to overconsume them because that's how you gain weight. That's the fundamental process of why people are gaining so much weight in the United States, is they're over consuming carbs. Now, one way that you can stop that, and that's what they do here in Europe, is you simply don't get that much food with your meal. So you eat it, you're done, unless you want to order a whole second meal. You're done. You get a tiny amount of carbohydrate, you get quality protein, the meat is better, the protein is better, It's usually more organic. It's usually more locally grown. That's a big thing. It's a lot. It hasn't traveled. It hasn't had time to spoil and be preserved and shipped. And all these things that remove nutrients from your food. The further your food's traveling, the more it's being handled, the more it's being frozen, unfrozen, heated, cooled, again, handled in general, moved, packaged, etc. The more it is processed. All of these is processing. All of this is processing in varying degrees. And so you end up with processed garbage food, right? And so what you get here is much smaller portion sizes. They don't fill you to the brim, so you can actually walk around after you're done. You don't need to take a nap. Even the desserts are better, but the food itself is it just looks better. You can just tell. Anyone that likes good food, you can tell. You sit down, there's healthy oils, it's presented better, there's more effort. It's not just slopped onto your plate like a lot of food in the United States, unfortunately, where people are in, they're out, they get the food, they eat it, they're on to the next task, etc. So the food preparation's better. Another thing is that fitness in general is a lot more natural in Europe. What do I mean by that? People go to the gym, trust me, there's gyms all over. I see people in gym clothes all the time. But people are out, they're on their bike, they're walking. There's a lot of public transportation. As you can see, there's like barely anyone still out here in Bergen. And it's not like this is a small place. I mean, I got some pretty big buildings around me, you know. I mean, this is not a tiny little town, actually, by any means. People walk a lot. They use public transportation. They're not just driving from point A to point B all the time. And because everyone is healthy, and I think this is one of the most important parts and how I'll end this video, it's such a cultural thing to be healthy. And this might not sound that good to people because it's a bit of a peer pressure thing, but everyone is healthy to the point where if you're like morbidly obese and you're running around here, you're probably going to feel pressured into being fit in a good way because everyone else around you is. And while that may sound daunting to someone that may feel like they have a lot of weight to lose, and it's like, why would I want to go there and stick out and people are judging me and this and that. This is one of the biggest problems in the United States. One of the biggest problems in the United States is the normalization of obesity and disease and overweight and all this stuff. People are hanging around with overweight people are hanging around with other overweight people, and they have groups and gaggles of them, and everyone is out of shape and soft and weak. And so it's normal. So it's just been normalized. It's that simple. Like, nobody feels the need. Why? Hey, look, I look just like everyone else. I'm obviously not doing that bad because, look, everyone else looks like me, right? And I'm not trying to judge. I'm just saying, would you rather be fat or would you rather be fit? So, to end this video, the best thing to do, the best advice I would say is, first of all, try and travel to Europe if you can. It's just good to get out and travel around. Secondly, see what they do. You know, if you want to be in good shape, obviously, you should hire someone or at least follow someone that is in the kind of shape that you want to be in. Everyone needs a mentor of some sort. Everyone needs a coach. I know I had plenty over the years. Plenty. Spent good money on it too. And you don't get that money back right away sometimes. Sometimes it takes years. We can't have this instant gratification all the time. You have to invest in yourself. But if you look at what people here are eating and you study their habits, and you don't even have to make it that big of a deal, you just observe. What are they eating here in Norway? Well, they're eating a lot of fish. They're eating a lot of, well, very sparingly high nutrient dense carbohydrates, potatoes. Everything's prepared properly with healthy fats, seasonings. These all give you more nutrition and all have health benefits of their own to keep you from getting sick all the time. And there's a lot of vegetables, but it's not overbearing. It's not like you have to eat an entire salad every meal. Everything is just sprinkled in there in the proper amounts. And if you still want to find some garbage food, you can still find that too. That's the thing. You're not stuck. You know, nobody wants to eat like a bird all the time. But anyway, guys, a couple of notes there from Norway. We're going to be biking around and hiking for the next 6 days, traveling around. I'll get some more videos. If you need any help, you can contact me through the comments in YouTube or Rumble, or find me on Instagram, Tactical Nutrition Fit. I just had to start a new channel, so it's still growing. Appreciate any follows and subscriptions and all that stuff. But I also do one-on-one nutrition coaching, supplementation. I have custom fitness programs too, workout programs. You know what it is, right? We're doing it all, but we're breaking through the matrix. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to be overweight. You don't have to be all these things society tells you. You can be everything you wanted to be and more. I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.